In this video, I'm going to show you step by step how to start a content marketing agency in 2023 as a beginner. Now, whether you want to get into short form video editing or long form YouTube content, it doesn't really matter. This video is hopefully still going to be valuable at laying out the steps that you need to take to scale to 10, 15, 20, or even 30,000 per month with your business. And just to show you that this process actually works, here are some results that I got with my agency, my business partner got, and also some of our students at our coaching business Grow Creatives. So I hope you will enjoy this video, and also I'm going to be linking down below an offer creation exercise cheat sheet, which you can download for completely free. You don't even need to opt in or anything. I just thought that it might be valuable for some of you guys. So without any further ado, let's jump right into the video. Step number one is defining a target audience and market that you are going after. Or you can also call it choosing your niche, which is what most people call it. Now, I hear a lot of people talking about choose a niche, but I don't see a lot of people who are choosing a niche that actually makes sense. A lot of people don't use common sense and logic when it comes to this first step, and it is in fact one of the most crucial first steps. So before you would just jump into a random industry, I think you want to ask a couple questions to yourself and only get into that certain space if it still makes sense after answering these questions. Number one, are there competitors in that space that you are trying to get into who are actively getting great results with content marketing? I think this is super important. If there is nobody who's getting results in your space with the service that you are trying to sell, that means there is probably no need for it, or it might not work as well in that industry. Number two, do they actually get leads and customers from social media, right? If it's a kind of business where it just works better on other platforms, then you don't want to force down a solution that on their throat that doesn't actually work that well. Number three, this is super important. Is it a growing market? You don't want to get into a market that's actively shrinking, like for example, the newspaper industry. There is a saying that a rising tide raises all boats, and this is super true. By simply being in an industry that's actively growing, you can basically grow your business by default as long as you are capable of delivering a good service. And number four, also don't underestimate this. Do you have a competitive advantage going into this market, like connections, experience, or a knowledge gap compared to other players? You definitely want to get into a space where you have at least some form of advantage compared to other people. And even if you feel like you don't, just take a look at your past, take a look at what your parents did, and you probably will find something where you have a lot more knowledge than other people do. You don't want to get into a market where everybody else has the same level of knowledge, connections, and everything else that you do as well, because then it's going to be pretty much a fair competition, but some people might actually know way more than you. You want to get into an unfair situation where you have an unfair advantage compared to other people, because that's how business works, right? Why would you not want to have that if you have the option to? Then step number two is to create an offer. An offer is basically just promising an outcome to your target audience and then putting terms around it. This is the way that we position our service. Here's the most important thing to keep in mind whenever you are creating an offer. You're never selling the actual service itself, but the outcome that your service gets for your customers. Here's a simple set of questions that I like to go through whenever I'm creating a new offer. Number one, define who do we help and who do we not help. It's just as important to know who we don't help with our service as it is to know who we do. Number two, what pain do we help them alleviate? Every service and every offer should have some sort of a pain alleviation aspect to it, because otherwise people are not going to pay money for it. Or if your service doesn't alleviate a pain, it should get them closer to some form of pleasure. Number three, how do we actually achieve this? Number four, what is the time frame of achieving the desired outcome? Number five, what are the exact things we deliver and do to make sure that the desired outcome actually happens? Number six, what is the guarantee or the risk reversal behind our service to make sure that the client feels at ease going into working with us? Number seven, what are our key sales arguments? How do we actually package our service in an appealing way? For example, if you say we edit videos, it's not nearly as compelling, especially for someone to pay thousands of dollars per month for it, as if you were to say we help you create actual sales assets on YouTube that help you sell your service 24/7 on autopilot. And last but not least, number 8, how much does your service cost and what are the breakdowns of your pricing? Step number 3 is setting up your landing page. It's actually proven that landing pages convert way better than regular portfolios, so you want to make sure you have one of them. You might be wondering, what's a landing page? Well, it's basically kind of like a website, but with more so focused on just converting someone from a visitor into an actual booked appointment or customer. A landing page has the following key functions. Number 1, explain your service, showcase competence through testimonials and case studies, pre-sell your business, break limiting beliefs, and just book calls for you. This landing page is going to be the place where you send most of your traffic from all the cold outreach that you are going to do, and also from all the content that you will create and get the inbound leads from. In terms of softwares to use for creating your landing page, Card is always a great cheap alternative for people who are just getting into the space. It's super cheap. It costs like $9 to $19 per year, and it is also very beginner friendly in terms of how easy it is to use. But if you have some more money to spend and you have some more advanced skills, you can use something like Webflow, ClickFunnels, Go High Level, or any of these website builders really. Step number 4, landing meetings. So your next step is going to be getting your landing page and your offer in front of as many people as humanly possible, while simultaneously adding value to them so they will trust you enough to actually exchange money in return for your services. You generally have 2 main options to choose from when it comes to landing clients as a beginner. Number 1, outbound messaging. So this can be stuff like cold emails, Instagram DMs, LinkedIn outreaches, Facebook messages, or any of that stuff where you actively go out of your way to message someone who doesn't know about you. And number 2, you have inbound traffic from content. So this is basically just building your brand from creating organic content on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, any of these social media platforms. In the beginning, I recommend starting both of these methods, but focusing more on the outbound side of things. Because to get results with building an audience and start getting leads from that, it usually takes at least 6 months to a year. You can get way faster results with outbound, but the organic efforts that you are putting in, meaning creating YouTube videos that educate your target audience, creating content on Instagram, they're still going to massively help you when it comes to, selling those people who you outbound message, because they are going to be able to go to your profile and they will see that you actually know what you're doing. You're also doing what you sell to them yourself, which makes you look more credible. I mean, think about it. If you go out to businesses saying how good your service is, how amazing this content thing is, yet you are not building your own brand and not creating content for yourself, you kind of look like, an imposter or a clown. Now, in terms of what content to create, what outreach messages to send, unfortunately, I cannot go into enough detail in this video because each one of these steps that I'm laying out would take hours to go into. But in general, I would say the North Star should always be leading with value, whether it comes to creating your content or whether it comes to sending outbound messages and trying to reach people that way. You always want to try to lead with value and give people something that they can actually use. So in your content, you can showcase your work, create before and after edits, showcase any results if you have, and give away actual sauce. It's super important to also mention that you need to know what you are doing to land high ticket clients. You are not going to be able to trick 6 and 7 figure business owners into, believing in your service, unlike how a lot of gurus will make you believe. I do believe that you actually need to learn and master the craft that you are selling first, and only then you are going to be able to see actual amazing results when it comes to selling it to the marketplace as a service. So don't be lazy and put aside at least 1 to 2 hours every single day to becoming better at whatever it is that you are selling as well. Trust me, it won't take that long until you become the top 1% service provider in your industry, because most people are simply just too lazy to innovate and learn. Also, as cliche it is, don't be afraid to invest back into your skill sets. I personally spend tens of thousands of dollars into education programs, coaching programs, and I actually never lost money investing into any of them. Skills are single-handedly like the most valuable thing that you can gain in life, because they cannot be taken away from you and they can be transferred from one industry and one business to another. Now, in terms of landing clients through cold outbound messaging, when you have a lead who looks like just a perfect fit, don't be afraid to make even a free video for them, a free trial in the beginning if you don't have a portfolio of clients yet, because this is going to help you to lower their guard just by a ton. Like if someone comes to me and they send me like 3 amazingly edited short form videos from my content without me even having to ask for a free trial, I'm going to be so much more likely to hire that person, because again, they lead with value, like I said, not just coming to take money from me. And I know this isn't as scalable in the big picture, but it's one of the best ways to land your first few clients in the beginning. This is how I also landed my first client when I was just 15 years old for like $500 a month, because I just basically worked for the guy for free for a few weeks before I would ask for anything in return. And I actually proved that my work was worth paying for. Now, as for finding people to reach out to, you can use a plethora of tools. There are paid lead scraping softwares. You can do manual list building and just finding people on social media, or you can even pay someone to do that for you for like $5 an hour. Step number 5 is closing sales goals once you start landing these meetings. So most people have a false image in their head around what sales actually is about. If we break down selling to its core principles, it's really just about solving a problem or alleviating pain from somebody else's life or business, and doing it in proportion to how much money you're asking for it. So if you're solving a pain that is a 10 out of 10 in that person's life or business, then you can charge 10 out of 10 money for it, quote unquote. Obviously, if you're solving a smaller problem, you can charge less for it. Generally speaking, people buy for 2 reasons. Number 1, to get away from pain, and number 2, to get closer towards pleasure. How should your actual sales goals go? What should you say on them? Well, here's the framework that I like to use. So the first section of the sales goal should be defining where they are. Then after that, you want to find out where they want to be in the future, whether it's their business, their personal life. It depends on what your service actually is. And then you want to define the gap between where they are and where they want to be, and also highlight the gap. This is the key to making the sale happen. Your product or service should really just be the bridge between where they are and where they want to be. Great salespeople don't sell services, they don't sell products, they actually sell transformations and outcomes. And more importantly, you want to sell a transformation of a better future than the one the prospect currently has. So basically, to go over the process, it's define current and desired state, and this is your questioning stage. After that, pitch your offer. After that, answer any questions that rise up. Then you want to overcome objections and then close the client at the end. Whenever it's possible, try to get them to pay on the actual call, and you can use something like Stripe or PayFunnels to do this, because unless someone has actually paid you your invoice, they are not considered a client. Sales on its own, again, is a huge topic to go into, but here are 5 things I focused on to go from being like a super timid salesperson who I was literally like afraid to even get on the call with someone, to being able to close 3 to 10k days like clockwork. Number 1, I actually became dedicated at becoming a better salesperson. I made a decision that I was no longer going to be this timid and afraid guy who's not willing to talk to prospects. I was going to learn this skill set no matter what. Number 2, I worked on my mindset and shifting my identity into becoming someone who can actually, just get on a call and easily ask for $3 grand, $5 grand, or even 10 grand. Number 3, I took hundreds of sales calls. Nothing comes easy, right, by nature. Yes, there are some more naturally extroverted people and some less extroverted people. I was definitely the second. It didn't come easy to me, but once you do, tens and tens of sales calls, you will naturally just get better at it. Number 4, I recorded plenty of calls and I actually watched them back, right? I looked at how prospects reacted to everything I said, and I, tried to improve call by call. And number 5, I hired mentors and I actually got feedback on my calls, which was invaluable to me, improving my sales again. Once you start closing some clients, here is step number 6 to getting your agency off the ground and really just, unlocking scale. And that is building systems and processes in the back end and just really automating reoccurring tasks. This part is crucial if you're actually trying to get beyond 5 to 10 grand a month, because, making 5 to 10 grand a month is cool and all, but you know, it's not like insane money, to be honest. I mean, depends on where you are. I know I might sound like a douchebag by saying this, but it really is not that difficult to achieve. You just need a few clients and you need to be actually good at what you're doing, and you can get there. But if you want to unlock, you know, a higher scale where you can do multi six figures at least, then you will really need to be pretty good at this, you know, thing of creating systems and creating SOPs, which are standard operating procedures for your business, so you don't have to be basically like micromanaging everything. In terms of building your team and the order that you want to go in, you know, it can depend from person to person, but here's what I've seen work for best, specifically for content creation agencies. You want to hire in terms of like the lowest to the highest leverage activities. So you first want to hire out the lowest leverage activities. So generally that's like video editing and graphic designer, so hiring out the actual service delivery. Then number 2, appointment setting, hiring someone to send out messages on your behalf and doing all the cold stuff. And then number 3, hiring a manager who can manage your appointment setter and your video editors and just make sure that like everything is running smoothly, make sure all the content is going out on time, and so on. And then you want to hire after that a sales rep. So that is one of the highest leverage activities you can do as a founder still in your agency, especially once you're still in like 6-figure range. Doing sales calls is generally still like a pretty high level activity, unless you are obviously getting like 10 calls a day, then yeah, sure, hire it out like quickly. But you know, for most of you guys, until you don't have more than like 2 to 3 sales calls a day, I think it's still good to keep doing them until it limits you from spending more time on you know, growing your personal brand or doing other elements that will be good for the long-term growth of your business. You might be wondering, okay, where can I actually hire people from? Here are just a few methods to find talent. So number 1, you can hire from job sites like onlinejobs.ph, Upwork, Fiverr, and so on. You can find solid graphic designers, video editors, and people who can do like VA, virtual assistant stuff for you, like sending out messages. And you can also find people from social media networks and communities like Discord communities and Facebook communities, or even from LinkedIn. In my opinion, one of the biggest things that a lot of agency owners mess up is as they start outsourcing things, they pretty much just completely start losing their margin. The reason you are in the agency model in the first place is because you want to make cash flow, right? So you want to make sure that even as you start hiring out some tasks, you still keep some solid margin in your business. So in my opinion, you want to still keep like a 50% margin once you hire these 4 key roles that I just mentioned. Because really, I know some agency owners who make like $1 million a year, you know, with their agency, and they take home like 18 grand a month, which is not bad money. But like, dude, you're running a 7-figure business, yet only taking home 18 grand because you hired so many people, and they are still having to be involved in the business in some sense. So I just don't think it makes a ton of sense. I mean, sure, if you're building your agency to sell, then yes, it does make sense to build out this huge team and everything, because then it's going to be more sellable. But if you're just trying to make cash flow, don't hire too fast and don't let go of your margin completely. I personally recommend like aiming for a 75% margin after your service delivery expenses. Then, you know, sales and appointment setting will take another, give or take, 10 to 15% off your margin, and the management will take another 5 to 10%. So in my opinion, you should still aim to have like a 50% or above margin, even once you scale up to, you know, 20, 40, 50 grand a month. And if you're feeling lost with any of these 6 steps, then you might want to consider applying for our program, Grow Creatives. It's basically a program that I created with my business partner, Greg, to help people who are trying to build creative agencies, YouTube agencies, and just, you know, agencies in this content space, and help them add, you know, an extra 5 to 10 grand a month to their business. It's a very hands-on and one-on-one experience, so it's definitely not for everyone. You do need a multiple 4-figure investment to get into it, and it is more so for people who already have a few clients but just want to like accelerate their growth to 10, 20, 30 grand a month. So if you're interested in that, check it out in the description below. Other than that, I really hope that this video was valuable for you. If you want to see more content from me and me going into more details on any of these steps, then go ahead and drop a sub on the channel, and I will see you guys in the next one.